Sai As Krishna. Om Sri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Sri Saraswate Namaha. Om Sri Samardha Sadguru Sainathaya Namaha. In the 10th and 15th chapters of Sri Sai Satcharita, Baba said that he is a servant of all his devotees and can be found in everybody's hearts. When my master Sai is your servant, I am also your servant. I request you to accept my pranams. In the 6th chapter of Sai Satcharitra, Hemadripant said that at every stage while reading Bhagavatam, he was able to find Sai in Krishna. You must be aware that in our Sanatana Dharma, references are made to Sesha Sai and Vatapatra Sai. The history of Lord Vishnu is Bhagavatam, Sai in Vatapatra Sai and Sai in Sesha Sai. Both are one and the same as our Shirdi Sai. In a nutshell, as I read Bhagavatam, I found similarities between certain characters in Sai Satcharitra and those in Bhagavatam. To begin with, let me speak about Narada Mahamuni, who was an ardent devotee of Sri Mahavishnu. He was a Gandharva in his previous life. He was a good singer but had weakness for Gandharva Kanyas. He once attended Brahma Satra Yaga performed by Brahma on invitation. He was singing in praise of Lord Sri Mahavishnu. He abruptly stopped singing midway and followed the Gandharva Kanyas before completion of the yaga, thereby inviting the anger of Brahma. He was cursed by Brahma to be born in Manavaloka as Dasiputra. As Dasiputra, he served great saints who in turn blessed and granted him with Narayana Mantropadesha. He then left the physical body, having undergone purification, and entered the Vishnu Loka. From then onwards, he was constantly engaged in chanting the name of Lord Vishnu. He earned the praise of Brahma, entered into Brahma through his breath, and later was blessed to be born as Brahma Manasa Putra. Subsequently, he spent his life in constant uttering of Harinama Smarana in Vishnu Loka and was popularly known as Narada Mahamuni. You may very well ask me as to which role in Satcharitra Narada fits in. Please recall the incident from the 15th chapter of Sai Satcharitra. Baba advised Dasaguni Maharaj, well dressed from the top to bottom, going to deliver discourse to the audience. Baba explained to him the way Narada Mahamuni performed kirtanas and instructed Dasaguni to go in simple dress without any cover on the upper half of the body. Let us recollect the past of Dasaguni Maharaj. His original name was Ganesha Sahasrabuddhi. He was a police constable by profession. In the year 1894, he came to Shirdi along with Nana Sahib Chandorkar on Jamabandi duty. He took darshan of Baba and earned his blessings. Dasagunu was a good singer besides being a good poet. After performing his police duties, he would spend more time in watching Lavani typical dances performed by street girls while he was singing. Baba noticed his liking for the art and his capability to write poetry and advised him to take retirement from service and serve the Lord by singing Harikathas. But Sahasrabuddhi, in his thirst for power, said that he would do the same after getting promoted as sub-inspector. One day, he was caught red-handed by British authorities while accepting a bribe of 36 rupees. He pleaded with Baba to help him and pull him out of this mess. Baba thus saved and advised him to opt for service to God, for which Dasagunu refused. Later in the year 1903, after becoming sub-inspector, while dealing with a gang of dacoits, Baba pulled him out of his difficulties. He then opted for voluntary retirement and dedicated remaining part of his life singing in praise of Sai, adopting the medium of Harikathas. Thus I could find a similarity between Narada in Bhagavatam and Dasaguna Maharaj in Sai Satcharitra. We all know how Sri Krishna saved Uttara during her pregnancy. Ashwadhama wanted to destroy the fetus by aiming the Brahmastra towards it. Some people say that Ashwadhama destroyed the unborn child in spite of Sri Krishna using his weapon, the Vishnu Chakra. However, Sri Krishna restored the child back into the womb of Uttara. We come across with a similar incident in Sri Sai Satcharitra in the 48th chapter, wherein Sapatnekar was accusing everywhere that his son died due to Baba's anger. Baba addressed Sapatnekar before all his devotees seated in Dwarakamai. This fellow, Sapatnekar, thinks that I am responsible for the death of his son. Will I ever do such things? He is now crying for the loss. Now I shall put back the baby into his wife's womb. And so did Baba, just as Lord Sri Krishna had done in the case of Uttara in Bhagavatam. Baba has repeated the same act in Satcharitra in respect of Sapatnekar's wife. Duryodhana could not tolerate Pandavas leading undisturbed life during their Vanvas. Duryodhana therefore hatched a plan and sent Durvasa Maharshi along with his 1,000 Sishyas to their place. He was sure that Pandavas with their meager facilities cannot extend hospitality to so many people, and that would put Pandavas to humiliation. Obviously, Draupadi cannot serve food to all of them, would certainly invite the anger and curse of Durvasa Maharshi. Durvasa Maharshi arrived at noon in Pandava's place and conveyed to Draupadi that he and his entire team would be back in an hour, and ordered her to make preparations accordingly. Draupadi was at loss to understand as to what was to be done. By then Pandavas had already finished their lunch and nothing was left over. The utensils were already washed. During Vanvasa period, it was normal practice for the Pandavas to take food only one time in a day. She invoked Lord Sri Krishna. Krishna asked Draupadi as to why she was upset. She narrated the whole incident to Krishna. She told him that all the food was finished and nothing was left to serve Durvasa Maharshi, and she was helpless to find a way out. Krishna said, "Show me the utensils." One grain was still left in the rice bowl. Lord Krishna ate the same. Soon Durvasa Maharshi and his Sishyas were coming out of the river after having a bath and were found belching with their stomachs full. Durvasa Maharshi conveyed to Draupadi that their bellies were full and would not have anything more. It may not be out of place to mention here that in some books, one grain left in the utensils turned up into many tasty dishes later served by Draupadi. While I was looking for any such similar incident taken place in Sai Satcharitra, I could come across with one in 35th chapter that happened with Navaskar family. It happened on the occasion of Navaskar's annual ceremony in Nivas village. They have invited about 100 guests for lunch, and accordingly Navaskar's wife ordered her daughter-in-law to prepare food. However, more than 300 turned up, and Navaskar's daughter-in-law looked helplessly towards her mother-in-law. The mother-in-law advised her daughter-in-law to observe patience and not to be perturbed. She said, "Our Sai Krishna is there and Baba's Udi is there. Do not lift the cover and serve the food to the guests. Baba shall take care of everything." With firm faith, both the ladies served all the guests who arrived, and towards the end, they were surprised to find food still remaining in the utensils. Just as Lord Krishna came to the rescue of Draupadi in Bhagavatam, our Sai Krishna came to rescue of Mrs. Navaskar in saving their honor in the needed hour. Let us now touch upon Bhagavatam. We know from Bhagavatam that Shuka Maharshi narrated Bhagavatam to King Parikshit in 7 days and granted Sadgati to him. If you look to Sai Satcharitra, for any such incident having taken place, we come across one in the 31st chapter. Saint Vijayanand came from Madras state in the year 1911 for having Baba's darshan. Baba knew that his end was coming near and advised him to read Bhagavatam for 2 weeks. But Vijayanand was found restless while having darshan of Baba. As a telegram came to him from his native place, asking him to start immediately as his mother was serious. He wanted to go Madras and sought Baba's permission. Baba asked him as to why he should still crave for the worldly affairs and relationships even after adopting saffron robes. Baba knew that his mother had already passed away and that Sadgati should be granted to Vijayanand. Baba said, "Do not worry, keep cool and complete reading Bhagavatam in 2 weeks' time." Thus, Shuka Maharshi granted Sadgati to Parikshit Maharaj. After listening to Bhagavatam for a week, Baba granted Sadgati to Vijayanand after he completed reading of Bhagavatam in 2 weeks. Baba not only granted Sadgati to Vijayanand, but also to Tatya Sab Nulkar, Megasham, and a tiger. When Tatya died, Baba said, "There is no rebirth to Tatya." Let us go back to Bhagavatam again. Prahlad, son of Hiranyakashyapa, and Dhruva, son of King Uttanapada, were both engaged in worship of Lord Sri Mahavishnu as young lads. You may very well ask me why I am referring to some children who worshipped Lord Vishnu. Till 1908, Baba never agreed for anyone to worship him. However, a child by name Bapu Rao made it a routine practice to pluck a rose flower from their garden, go to Maruti temple, and place the flower at Maruti's feet before attending school. On a particular day, Bapu Rao plucked 2 rose flowers, placed one on Baba's head, and placed the other one in the Maruti temple before leaving for school. All devotees gathered around Baba were surprised as to why Baba allowed that child to worship. Shama questioned and Baba said, "The small boy could see God in me, and the day you all can see God in me, all of you can start worshipping me." From that day onwards, Baba allowed people to worship him. Just as the 2 boys Prahlada and Dhruva in Bhagavatam worshipped Lord Vishnu, 6-year-old Bapu Rao became a role model for all of us today to worship Baba. Let us now come back to Bhagavatam. Dhruva was appreciated for his bravery in fighting with Yakshas by King Kubera. He blessed Dhruva with the words that the Harinama Smarana, which helped in removal of ignorance, should permanently be with him. Whether any such advice was given in Satcharitra? Yes, we do come across in 27th chapter. Shama was advised by Baba to read Vishnu Sahasranama. Baba said that he himself experienced it while going through difficulties. He embraced the book Vishnu Sahasranama as it helped him a lot after keeping it close to the chest. Thus, Baba has underlined the importance of reading Vishnu Sahasranama to Shama and the benefit it would deliver to the person reading it. Many people think that Dhruva in the childhood itself, with the blessings of Lord Vishnu, became a Dhruvatara, a morning star. But if you study carefully, Dhruva ruled his kingdom for 26,000 years. Later he handed over the kingdom to his eldest son. He then left to forest and engaged in doing tapasya in the forests of Bhadraka. Messengers from Vishnu then arrived and took him to Vishnu Loka. Will ever such thing happen to us? I feel messengers from Yamadharmaraj would be waiting readily to welcome us. But there are examples to show that with the blessings of Sainath, it is possible to reach Vishnu Loka. In 50th chapter of Sai Satcharitra, Kaka Sabdikshit and Mahilsapati are standing examples, and I will deal on that aspect. Kaka was an ardent devotee of Baba, and Baba assured him that towards the end he would take him in Vimana, an equivalent to aeroplane. Hemadripant said that Baba kept up his words. On 5th July 1926, both friends Kaka Sabdikshit and Anna Sab Dabolkar were traveling in a local train from Vile Parle to Bandra. Kaka Sab was narrating the greatness of Baba to Anna Sab Dabolkar when Kaka Sab suddenly passed away without any pain. Baba thus took him to Vishnu Loka. Baba bestowed the same to Mahilsapati on 11th September 1922. During the auspicious Ekadashi hours, after performing his father's annual death ceremony, Mahilsapati was planning to go for Baba's darshan. He then complained of chest pain and passed away with ease. These two are the standing examples to show that Baba leads his devotees to Vishnuloka, which is considered as a point of no return or the need to go through the chain of life cycles anymore. The day of Ekadashi is considered to be most auspicious when the gates of heaven are left open according to Hindu mythology and belief. Let us understand the background of Vrishabha now. He was born to Meru Devi, the wife of Nabhi. Lord Vishnu was pleased by the yaga performed by Nabhi and blessed him with a son who was later named as Vrishabha. He ruled for a long time, later mastered the subject of Viveka and Vairagya. Later he turned into Avadhuta and left for tapasya to the forest. He handed over the kingdom to his eldest son Bharata. Vrishabha was blessed with the Astasiddhis, which was a rare phenomenon. They are flying in the air, travel of thoughts, becoming invisible, entering into some other form, and seeing from a distance, equivalent of modern television, etc. These things were all bestowed to Vrishabha in a natural process. Our Lord Sainath possessed all these faculties naturally. Let me narrate with some examples. While Magha was asleep with the doors closed, Baba entered into his room and dropped a few grains of yellow rice. Baba advised him to draw the Trishul as Lord Shiva was on the way. Later, when questioned, Baba said, "Closed doors are not a barrier to me. And to make it known, I dropped a few grains of akshantas in your place." In another example, Tarkat's wife and his son were in Shirdi. Baba said to them, "This afternoon I went to your house in Bombay. There was nothing to eat. I could enter even though the doors were locked." Baba advised Balaram Mankar to worship him in Machendragarh. There he blessed him with a darshan in physical form only to show him that his presence was not limited to Shirdi alone. In another incident, Chandorkar was transferred to Pandharipur. Chandorkar desired to take Baba along with him to Pandharipur. He came to Shirdi to seek Baba's permission, and all the time Baba was engaged in singing a bhajan song that all of us will have to go to Pandharipur. With all devotees seated around him, Baba could read from a distance the thoughts which were preoccupied in Chandorkar's mind, and accordingly, Baba was singing the song to all his devotees about the intentions. Sometime again, Baba announced well in advance that some guests and well-wishers are expected to his darbar. Later, when Durandara brothers arrived in Dwarka Mai, Baba said that these were the guests about whom he was mentioning in the morning. All these examples amply indicate that Baba possessed all the Astasiddhis after having attained Vivek and Vairagya. Again, let us go back to Bhagavatam. Chitraketu Maharaj was not having any children even though he had many wives. Saint Angirasa made him to perform Putrakameshti Yaga and blessed him with a son. Same thing can be found in Satcharitra also. Nana Sahib Dengle was also issueless. Baba understood his inner desire and accordingly blessed him with children. Ratanji Shapurji Wadia had 12 daughters, aspired for a male issue, was blessed with a son. Damoanna Kasar was issueless, even though he had 2 wives. Baba gave him 2 mangoes and advised him to give it to his younger wife. She was later blessed with children with the miracle of Amra Leela. In 1896, Gopal Rao Gundu, a circle inspector, had no issues by his 2 wives, was blessed by Baba with children. Even in the present day's context, in the form of gynecologists, Baba is blessing many childless couples with the advancements made in medical sciences. Aurangabadkar's wife approached Baba saying that she was married to her husband, much elder to her, and wanted to be blessed with children. Initially, Baba never agreed, but with Shyama's intervention, she was presented with a coconut and later blessed with a child. Let us go back to Bhagavatam. Prahlad, son of Hiranyakashyapa, advocated the importance of Navavida Bhakti, known as the 9 forms of Bhakti. He tells his father to be obedient, be devoted to Vishnu and worship him. Here we come across son trying to refine his father and educate about the importance of Navavida Bhakti. However, Hiranyakashyapa, a Rakshasa king by nature, was beyond all reasons and strong opponent of Lord Vishnu, while his son Prahlad was an ardent devotee of Vishnu. Baba also advocated Navavida Bhakti. In the 21st chapter of Sai Satcharitra, he called Patankar and asked him whether he has collected all the 9 horse dung balls. He could not understand a word, and Patankar asked Kelkar what Baba meant. Kelkar explained to him that here horse is a symbolic with the grace of God. One of the avatars of Lord Sri Mahavishnu is that of Haigriva, which possessed the face of horse. He is also known as Haigriva. Thus Baba asked Patankar if he could successfully collect the God's grace. Baba, while attaining Mahasamadhi, also gave Lakshmi Bai Shinde 9 coins which are symbolic with Navavida Bhakti and conveyed the importance and need to its adherence to all of us. Prahlad was vexed and got fed up with his father Hiranyakashyapa. He says that you have conquered all the 3 lokas, but unable to overpower the 6 enemies within you. You win over them, and I shall surrender myself to you. Who are all they? Asked Hiranyakashyapa. Prahlada replied, they are Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada and Matsarya. Thus Prahlada advised his father to get rid of Arishad Vargas in him. In Sri Sai Satcharitra, Baba advised Atmaram Tarkad's wife with the same words. Tarkad was general manager of Khatao Mills, Bombay. She, after visiting Baba, was leaving the place with a feeling of inner ego. Baba asked her to give him ₹6 as dakshina. She was not having any money as they were on their return journey to Bombay from Shirdi. Atmaram Tarkad explained to her what Baba's intentions were. Baba wanted her to get rid of the 6 inner enemies, place them at his feet and seek his blessings before they commence return journey. She did accordingly when Baba gently smiled at her and blessed her. Thus, we are all able to establish a similarity between what is told in Bhagavatam and what is told by Baba to his devotees in Sai Satcharitra. In Bhagavatam, Gajendra, the ardent devotee of Lord Sri Mahavishnu, whose foot was caught in the crocodile's mouth, fought with the crocodile for 1,000 years and pleaded Lord Sri Mahavishnu to come to his rescue. Lord Vishnu came to his rescue immediately and thus saved his devotee. There is a similar incident in Sai Satcharitra. It was in the year 1914. First World War was going on, and an Indian captain, Jahangirwala, was in charge of a warship in British Navy. The war was on the Russian Sea. His ship was hit by a torpedo from enemy submarine. All the sailors jumped out to safety from the sinking ship. As a captain, he could not afford to do that. He was a devotee of Baba, and photograph of Baba was in his pocket. He prayed to Baba to save him from the calamity. At the same time, devotees seated in Dwarka Mai found 2 to 3 buckets of water flowing out from Baba's body. Baba lowered his size and entered into the hole created by the torpedo hit, and thus stopped the ship from sinking and attended to the distress call of his devotee, Captain Jahangirwala. This could be understood by devotees seated around Baba only when Captain Jahangirwala visited Baba 2 months later after the war was ended and thanked Baba for saving the ship from sinking. What a wonderful similarity between Sri Mahavishnu saving his devotee Gajendra, an elephant, and Baba saving Captain Jahangirwala fighting a war thousands of miles away. In the 7th chapter, Baba saved the child of a blacksmith who accidentally fell down from the mother's lap into the fire, while she suddenly got up to attend her husband's urgent call. She yelled for Baba's help. Baba, seated before Dhuni in Dwarka Mai, put his hand into Dhuni and thus saved the child from certain mishap. And in this process, Baba burnt his own hand. There is a lot of similarity in Lord Sri Mahavishnu coming to the rescue of his devotees and Baba saving his devotees in the moments of crisis. Let us now go back to Bhagavatam. Ambarish was troubled by Durvasa Maharshi. To save Ambarish, Sri Mahavishnu used his Sudarshana Chakra on Durvasa Mahamuni. Durvasa was running away, and at some point when he could not run further, he approached Sri Mahavishnu. He said that he cannot save him and advised him to approach Ambarish. Sri Mahavishnu said that he was a servant of his devotees and he shall go anywhere and to any extent for saving them, just like a calf following the mother cow. So I follow my devotees. Therefore, go to Ambarish as I am helpless. He only can save you. Ultimately, Durvasa Maharshi approached Ambarish and was saved. Whatever Sri Mahavishnu had told, the same words are said by Baba in the 15th chapter of Sri Sai Satcharita. He told Cholkar that day and night he would be with his devotees once they spread their palms before him and make a sincere call. My place is in your hearts and I will guard you. Baba also said that he would share all the difficulties of his devotees. When Lakshmi Khaparde's son was suffering from bubonic plague, Baba showed his underarms by lifting the kafni, showed the 2 bubonic swellings in his underarms, and said that he would take on to him the sufferings of his devotees who address him sincerely. He said, sooner the clouds shall disappear and sky would be cleared, thereby meaning that her son would be cured soon and there will be no necessity for her to go to Amroti. Baba demonstrated practically what Sri Mahavishnu had said to his devotees. Now I shall narrate a fine incident. River Ganga was born at the lotus feet of Sri Mahavishnu and found her place on the head of Lord Shiva before it touched the earth. Here the important message conveyed is that Ganga is born at the lotus feet of Sri Mahavishnu. In the 4th chapter of Sai Satcharitra, Dasaguna Maharaj approached Baba for permission to go to Haridwar and to take holy dip in Ganges and fulfill his religious vow. Baba then asked why he wanted to go so long way. You will find both Ganga and Yamuna here itself. Baba has demonstrated that both Ganga and Yamuna flowing out from the toes of his feet. Dasaguna Maharaj sprinkled the water on his head. Later, in Stavana Manjari, he regrets for not having taken the water as tirtha due to the ahankara. Ganga is born at the feet of Sri Mahavishnu, and the same miracle is performed by Baba in Dwarka Mai. Now we go to King Rantidev's life history, as told in Bhagavatam. He gave away all his wealth in charities and became a pauper. He even parted with the food he was taking when asked for. Baba used to collect 500 rupees per day as dakshina during the years 1908 to 1918 and distributed the entire money collected to needy and poor. He would distribute to Amali 2 rupees, Jamali 3 rupees, Baijabai 25 rupees, Tatya 20 rupees. He was a fakir by next day morning. Once again Baba was ready seeking alms. He used to take food collected from the 5 houses in his begging bowl, mixed them all, unmindful of the taste. His food used to be shared with others and partly eaten by cats and dogs. I feel that King Rantideva in Bhagavatam is one and the same as Sainath in Dwarka Mai. Now let us hear more about Sri Krishna's Leelas. Same are performed by Sainath also. In those days, Krishna was going along with Gopikas, Yadavas, and cows were trapped in the deep forest which caught fire. They all pleaded Krishna to save them. Krishna realized that all those who are with him were his believers, and it becomes his moral obligation to save them. Krishna was 14 or 15 years old at that time. What did he do? He opened his mouth and swallowed the entire fire in the forest. Baba also performed similar leelas in the 11th chapter of Sri Sai Satcharita. The fire from Dhuni in Dwarkamayi was raising its ugly head and rising higher and higher. All the devotees seated were afraid and getting panicky. Baba soon realized it. With his satka in a hand, tapped the pillars of Dwarkamayi and commanded the fire levels to come down. Every strike brought the rising fire down. Within minutes, Dhuni came under control. Krishna saved his devotees trapped in the forest fire, while Sainath controlled the rising fire in Dwarkamayi and thus saved his devotees trapped in Dwarkamayi. Another incident happened when Krishna was aged around 12 years. Indra was angry with Yadavas, and he was instrumental in subjecting them to gale of wind, thunders, and heavy rains. Gopikas and elderly people approached Krishna to save them. Krishna took Mount Govardhan on his little finger and brought all the people under its cover. How about Sai Krishna? Let us refer to the 11th chapter of Sri Sai Satcharita. On one evening in Shirdi, cyclonic weather prevailed with heavy rains and strong winds blowing. People of Shirdi approached Baba in Dwarkamayi and requested him to save them. Sai looked toward the sky full of dark clouds and uttered, Stop, reduce your anger, cool down. He shouted. Everything subsided, and as rain subsided, people went back to their homes, expressing their gratitude to Baba. What Krishna did to his devotees, the same was repeated by Baba to save his devotees in Shirdi. Now let us go to the story of Kuchela in Bhagavatam. Krishna welcomed, embraced, and made him to sit on his throne. He washed his feet with water from golden pot, applied sandalwood paste, and expressed his love towards him. In 27th chapter of Sri Sai Satcharita, Khapadde's wife brought sanja, puri and rice at noon as lunch for Baba. He took and ate his stomach full with love. She was massaging Baba's feet, and Baba in turn was massaging her hands. It was to show that there was no difference between devotee and God. Shyama said that both were serving each other. I am reminded of Krishna washing Kuchela's feet. Thus, there appeared no difference between a devotee and God. Krishna asked Kuchela jokingly what gift he got for him, however small it may be. Initially, Kuchela was hesitating to give the pounded rice kept tied in a cloth. Later, he offered the pounded rice to Sri Krishna. Sri Krishna said that he would treat it like sweet rice and eat it. During the year 1914 on Sri Ramanavami Day, an elderly woman was waiting in a corner outside Dwarkamayi to feed Baba with the 3 rotis prepared and brought for him, eagerly waiting for her turn. She waited patiently and was unable to get near Baba. She finally decided to eat them herself. She ate half of them. Baba knew about all that was happening outside. He called for the lady through Shyama and said to him, I have to eat whatever she has brought for me. Sai was also eagerly waiting, just as Krishna was waiting to eat whatever Kuchela has brought for him. Baba ate the balance of the leftover food brought by the old woman. In Bhagavatam, Parikshit Maharaj questioned Shuka Maharshi, why devotees of Lord Sri Mahavishnu suffer from poverty in spite of worshipping Lord Mahavishnu. Even Dharmaraja asked the same question to Sri Krishna when he performed Ashwamedha Yaga. Then Sri Krishna replied, "It is well-known fact that jaggery attracts ants. Once jaggery is removed, all ants disperse away. When we have wealth, all relatives crave our company, and once it is gone away, nobody turns up." Sri Krishna further says, he draws all devotees towards him. Then he snatches everything that is materialistic from his devotees. Lord Krishna said, as a first step, I deprive their wealth. Under that condition, even relatives hesitate to come nearer and abandon them. Eventually, they become all alone. Left with nothing else to do, they are then drawn into the company of my devotees, engage in good society, and work for spiritual advancement. Similar thing exists in Sai Satcharitra also. Baba's ardent devotee Mahilsapati used to address Baba as Deva and Baba to him as Bhagat. Baba never gave even a pie to Mahilsapati, even though he gave all others. Mahilsapati's wife used to question him what Baba had given to him, whereas he liberally gives so many things to others. Once Baba did not allow Hamsraj, who wanted to give Mahilsapati a plate full of silver coins. When Mahilsapati sought permission from Baba to take it, Baba did not agree, saying that he will give him what he is destined, and for that to happen, money should not come anywhere near him. On September 11th, 1922, after he performed his father's annual death ceremony, Mahilsapati was bestowed Sadgati when he suffered chest pain and prayed Baba. He left for his heavenly abode, and that is what Baba presented Mahilsapati. Whatever Sri Krishna had told to Dharmaraja, same thing is practically demonstrated by Baba in respect of Mahilsapati. There are many such incidents, and we really never know how much time is running out. Now we shall see how Sri Krishna and Sai Baba ended their avatars. In Bhagavatam, after the war between Pandavas and Kauravas was over, Pandavas were getting back to their past glory. Yadavas were engaged in fighting amongst themselves. Krishna realized that nobody was to listen to him anymore and wanted to put an end to his avatar. He was once seated in a jungle with his right leg resting over the left leg and swinging it. A hunter from a distance spotted the activity and mistook it for the head of a deer. He aimed an arrow on the toe. Krishna took it as a cause and ended his avatar. Krishna merely took it as a reason, even though he fought many Rakshasas even as a child. A person who steered the Mahabharata Yuddha preferred to end the role and thus left to Vishnu Loka. However, Sai Krishna chooses to put an end to his avatar. It is very clearly mentioned in chapters 43 and 44 of Sai Satcharitra. In the year 1918, on Vijayadashmi day, by 2:30 hours in the afternoon, when Ekadasi was entering, Sai sent all his devotees away, put his head on the shoulder of Bayaji and breathed his last. Let us recollect the words he said before he attained Mahasamadhi. I am feeling restless in Dwarkamai. Take me to Butiwada. In Butiwada, a space was created to house Muralidhar as decided by Baba. Finally, physical body of Sai was housed in Butiwada, which was originally intended for installation of the idol of Muralidhar, thereby proving that Shirdi Sai is one and the same as Muralidhar, that is Krishna. Today, crores of devotees are visiting Samadhi Mandir and are getting his blessings. In my opinion, Sainath of Kali Yuga and Lord Sri Krishna of Dwapar Yuga are one and the same. Jai Sai Ram.